Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is 9 o'clock and I believe we will start. My name is Rognerud and I have the pleasure of welcoming you to this combined webinar and B2B session on greening maritime and river transport, electric, hydrogen and hybrid solutions. I work at Innovation Norway, who's one of the organizers of this event. Most Norwegians will know us. We are the government's key instrument for innovation and business development in Norway. We're in some 20 countries abroad and in all regions of Norway. And for the French colleagues amongst us, the reference might be something like BPI France, Business France, and then combined. So that's 2 words on who we are. This event is organized jointly with the other members of Team Norway, notably the Norwegian Embassy and the French-Norwegian Chamber of Commerce. And we also partnered with Cluster Maritime Français for this event this morning. So a huge thanks to all of them for their contribution and their support. And you will also hear from them in the course of this morning. With me this morning, I have 4 distinguished guests who represent key institutions and actors in this market and in this effort. But before I introduce them, let me just say 2 words on the running of this morning's session. This format is, though I think many of us have been through many webinars over the last few years, this specific format is a test for us. We will run a panel discussion for the next hour before you as participants through the virtual platform can go straight into your B2B rooms and meet up with the contacts that you have made in advance. Let me also just say that if you haven't had a chance to make those meetings or book them already, you can contact us in the aftermaths and we will see what we can do to connect you with the people you would like to meet. So you're with us for the next 50 plus minutes or so, and then you move over to your B2B rooms. I should also mention that this session is recorded, so if that's an issue, now you know. There will also be opportunities to post questions in the chat, post them, provided our guests and panelists stick to their measured time. We will hopefully have time for some questions also this afternoon. Okay, so then let me welcome our guests this morning. I have the pleasure of having with me around this digital table, Joachim Rønnevik. Maybe you can wave so we can identify you as I introduce you. Joachim is a senior advisor for the procurement of ferry services at the Norwegian Public Road Authority. We also have with us, I hope in a minute, Katia Ronzeau, who's a senior project director at Ecosys and also a member of the coalition for the maritime, environmental and energy transition that we will hear more about. We have with us Mr. Jean Weymuller, who's a business developer for R&D, collaborative projects at Naval Group, down in my left corner on the screen. And last but not least, Thierry Meunier, project manager at EDF. Okay, let me start by turning to you then, perhaps Joachim. Start with our Norwegian guests. Norway has made a commitment to green its near-shore ferries and shipping industry by cut emissions by 50% in the next few years. By 2030, I think 50% cut. There are already some 70 electric ferries navigating on Norwegian waterways and fjords. And an estimate 70% of these routes will be zero emission just within a couple of years. And Norway is well on track for this. Now, as I understand, a key feature or key requisite for this development has been the actions and the policy of a strong government agency, the Norwegian Public Road Authority. Can you tell us just a little bit about this model and how it has helped this market develop?
Yes, I will. So then first I would like to share a short presentation with you. So can you
Yes, we see. I believe we see the
Can you
full. Perfect.
Can you see the full screen?
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. So my name is Joachim Rønnevik, and I work for the Norwegian Public Road Administration. And first, before I go into the Norwegian of how the Norwegian Public Road Administration, I've worked with introducing new technology in the ferry market. I would like to give you just a short background on the Norwegian ferry market. We have 130 ferry routes and about 200 ferries in operation in the market. And the ferries themselves are operated by private companies and receive operation subsidies from us. And the ferries are of great importance for the Norwegian population and for the industry along the coast, and that's the reason for the relatively large state subsidies to the ferry services. And the Norwegian Public Road Administration is responsible for the routes on the main road system. So the large routes, marked with the red dots on this maps, and the rest are county routes. And the Norwegian Public Road Administration have worked with environmentally friendly ferries for many years. And the background for this is that the large spendings on ferry services gives us a position where we can demand new environmental solutions. And also by investing marginally more in these procurements, we can achieve substantial technological developments. And hence the procurement of ferry services have been used as a tool for the development of the Norwegian maritime industry. And we see that the industry have responded to this challenge put forward by us in a very good manner, and there is a great public-private cooperation in the market. So we have contributed to the development and introduction of LNG, battery electric ferries, and now hydrogen in the Norwegian ferry market. And with the hydrogen electric ferry, we will have zero emission technology available for all ferry routes in Norway. So I would like to exemplify our approach through the development and implementation of the battery-powered and hybrid ferries in the Norwegian ferry market. And we saw that prior to 2010, the public procurement rules gave a low degree of technological developments. So in 2010, the government decided to procure an environmentally friendly car ferry. And the result of this procurement was the world's first 100% battery-powered ferry. And at present, there have been signed contracts, or there have been taken decisions to announce tenders that will be resulting close to 80 ferries with batteries on board in operation in 2022. And this shows that we do not stop with the pilot. We have continued to make requirements over time in order to take the new technology through the early technological phases from pilot to the market. And at present, batteries are about to enter other segments of the maritime industry as well, such as high-speed vessels, coastal transport, fishing vessels, and cruise vessels. And we also see a lot of development in the Norwegian supplier industry. And we believe that we, for a large number of contracts, also will save money in the subsequent contract periods due to the fact that electricity is cheaper than the alternatives and has lower maintenance costs. And next year, the shipping company Norled will put into service the world's first hydrogen electric ferry. And the ferry is a result of a development contract announced by us. And the objective of this development contract for hydrogen electric for this contract was to develop zero emission technology for the routes that are not possible to electrify, being the need for energy or weak supply of electricity. The government have decided to announce the route Bodø-Moskenes-Sverre-Øst with requirements for hydrogen. And this tender will play an important role in creating a demand for hydrogen in Norway. And together with other hydrogen initiatives in the maritime sector, such as Topeka or the two pilots facilitated through the Norwegian Green Shipping Program, this tender can play an important role in creating demand for hydrogen in Norway and contribute to establish a market for hydrogen. So this example shows that we have to start with the high energy demanders to get the prices down, and then smaller consumers can follow as the prices fell, and makes the new technology more available. But our role in when it comes to hydrogen is different than in the development of battery and hybrid ferries due to the size of the ferry market. So based on our experience, we have identified some success criteria that have to be in place in order to realize the potential of innovation and technological development through public procurement. And the development in the Norwegian ferry sector is a result of a continuous political will to have requirements for zero and low emission technology in the ferry tenders, and to use the procurement of ferry services as a tool to develop the Norwegian the maritime industry. It's also the need of funding that reflects the level of ambition, both through the budgets, but also by different public support schemes such as Enova, the NOx Fund, Innovation Norway, and those systems. And you need a competent and professional procurement organization that secures cost-efficient procurement of ferry services. And we have had a lot of structured market dialogue with both the ferry shipping companies and the supplier industry to get input on how we could best meet the ambitions for the ferry sector. And following the development contract that resulted in MF Ampere, the large procurers in the counties have had requirements for zero and low emission technology in their tenders. And this has contributed for a substantial demand for battery electric systems and also then market development. And for us as a large procurer of ferry services, it has also been important to communicate our expectations regarding the future mix of energy in the ferry market. And this has been important for the ferry companies that are going to invest in new technology, but also to demonstrate the market potential for the supply industry that is going to develop the new technology. So you see the shares here of the future mix of energy in the ferry market. This was estimated in 2015 based on input from the market. And this has been important to make in our market dialogue. And at least, but not last, we have been working not only with zero low emission technology, but we also work with developing the market, the Norwegian ferry market, and creating a competition. Because with a functioning market, you get a competition between the different ferry companies and the supply industries, both on price, but also on zero and low emission technology. So that explains some of our approach in Norway and how we have used the public procurement as a tool.
Excellent. This is really very interesting. As you say, it's a very strong example of how it seems of how a public institution and a public procurement process can help drive a market. And that illustration of going from one pilot ferry back in 2015 to 70 plus ferries and a functional commercial market just 5 years later is testimony, I guess, to that model. But Joachim, can I ask you, this central institution of the NPRA that Norway has may not exist in other countries. France does not necessarily have this central institution managing the waterways or purchasing on the waterways. Could you just reflect a little bit on what you think are transferable lessons, either positive or negative, that policymakers or for that matter industry elsewhere could look to? What can actually be brought elsewhere from these experiences that you just shared?
Yeah, I think because the Norwegian Public Road Administration have a as you say, we have a central role in the Norwegian ferry market. But I would like to. I think there are two main points that I think can be transferred to another context, and that's that there is a need for a first mover who is able to bear the cost and a risk related to the pilots, such as in Norway we have the Norwegian Public Road Administration have used our role, but there also may be other forms of public-private partnerships or private initiatives and public funding ships that could play the role as a first mover. So it not necessarily be a public procurer, but another central actor in the market that can have that same function. And in Norway, for instance, there are now 2 cargo operators cooperating, facilitated through the Norwegian Green Shipping Program. And they just signed a contract with the Norwegian shipping company Ulvan Rederi for a hydrogen and wind-powered bulk carrier that will start sailing in 2024, and that's on our 15-year contracts. So you see that other and in that tendering process, over 30 shipping companies participated, and then when you get this competition in the tendering process, it creates knowledge and competence about new technology, and that again will be available for new initiatives. So the mechanisms involved are some of the same that are involved in the public procurement process with the building of competence and learning in the markets. So I think we have to bear in mind that the way we act as procurers and public agencies has a great impact on the market that we actually do procurement in. And a second, yeah.
Oh, very interesting, please, yeah.
Yeah, and secondly, it is also important to that you don't stop with the pilots. It's important with strategies and funding schemes that can take the technology from the pilot and to the market. So that there is a need for a critical mass of procurers, public agencies, and private actors that can apply consistent and predictable requirements over time. And this can contribute to incremental innovation or gradual improvements of the new technology. And you can get development in the value chain, because it's not only the technology on the vessel itself, but you have to develop the systems. For instance, you need systems to charge. You need electricity on board the vessels, so you have to develop the value chains as well. And then of course with higher demand, higher volumes, this can contribute to lower prices, and it makes the new technology more available to to other users and to the different segments of the sector. So I think the first mover and strategies for taking the technology from pilot to market is the main lessons learned, and that can be transferred, I think.
Excellent, very interesting. I counted 3 there. The first criteria being, if you want something to happen, ask for it and spec it in your procurement. Make sure you actually create that market, but also look for that first mover advantage and think framework conditions and scale from the onset. Those are very poignant reflections and lessons. Thank you very much. Let me turn to our French colleagues, and Katia Ronzeau, who's a senior project director, as mentioned, at Ecosys Group, a data management company. France is, Katia, let me put it to you this way. France is a leading maritime nation also, and also has the highest number of navigable waterways in Europe. And the country has set a really high ambition to decarbonize its transport sector fully by 2050. And naturally, the maritime and shipping and fluvial sectors also have to do their part. And I also noted that as part of the COVID recovery package, the government has set aside nearly 800 million euros for the greening of the maritime sector, as well as the modernization of inland waterways. Now, the country's leading maritime cluster, the cluster Maritime Français, has built a coalition for the maritime, environmental and energy transition to help reach these ambitious goals. And Ecosys, as I said, a data management and auxiliary equipment company, actually is part of this coalition. Now, this is one initiative. Could you tell us a little bit more about this coalition and how it actually works to help achieve these ambitious goals in the sector?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I hope you hear me well. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm sorry I will have to leave just after because I'm filling in for the cluster Maritime Français, Emmanuel Marie Peton, who couldn't join us today this morning. So I'm Katia Ronzeau, working very closely with the cluster Maritime in France. We built this coalition together a few years ago, and it was officially launched 18 months ago with the French government and a few members. We brought together 30 organizations, and let me share my screen so maybe it will be easier for you to understand how we work. So you should see it now. As you see, we think that in every country we need to work very collaboratively to manage this eco-energy transition in the maritime sector and not only. And this is why we choose to bring together public and private organizations, including EDF and Naval Group, who will speak just after me. The idea was to share a common vision and accelerate projects that will have positive impact and manage and allow us to achieve our goals, objectives by 2050. So that's the general objective. We aim to accelerate and bring the whole maritime activities into on this path to decarbonation. So it's not only about shipping industry; it's also about ports, sea activities, more broadly coastal activities. So we think it's important to have this cross-industry vision, including also industries such as the plane industry or train and so on, because at the end, maritime activities are always connected to other activities of our economy, and we consider we need to have a door-to-door approach and facilitate projects, innovative projects, by bringing together these different stakeholders, and also by bringing them common tools and digital technologies. So that's how we work. We, as an operator from this coalition, we were asked by the members to build a platform, a digital platform that I will share you in a few seconds, just to give you a quick idea of what it is. It's not implemented yet, and it's only in French. I'm sorry for that, but we have the ambition to build an English version soon. And the idea is to facilitate innovation and facilitate and help people work together with collaborative tools, with trusted data and KPIs that we can share together. And of course, we will be happy to include more data from Norway and from many other countries, because maritime sector has is a global economy, and we need to consider the experience and feedbacks of everyone, every project that could help us to achieve this high ambition by 2050. So if I would just change my screen so that you can see the platform very shortly. I
think maybe you even had it up there. Is that possible?
Sorry?
I think we may have just seen it.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
No, voilà.
I'm on the web portal now, so it's as it's in French. I will just comment it. It's still a working platform. We want to bring together many data from different other systems and platforms. The idea is to be a sort of data hub to facilitate the understanding of the issues related to I would say the maritime or waterway activities. And we have a different kind of information within this platform. I will just show you one or two if you see it. Sorry for that. So this one, for example, is a mapping. It's not exhaustive, but we have about 400 projects and stakeholders in this mapping. The idea is to allow the users to choose the solution: hydrogen, electric power, energy efficiency, LNG, and so on, that I want to focus on. And we also have the possibility to look at, for example, countries like Norway. We have only 3 projects right now in our database, but I'm sure you have much more to share, and I will be happy to discuss it with you. For example, it looks like this. We have we have this project. You're probably aware of it. Viking Energy, was launched by Wärtsilä, and the idea is to bring information to our users by sharing some information about the project, and even pictures or website and so on that could bring information and contacts to the people who wants to get to know more. So that's a first way to impression that I wanted to highlight. And of course, we would be happy to highlight more projects and more solutions from other countries. This is another part of the platform. If you still see my screen, here we try to gather studies and existing information that we had in France about hydrogen technologies, and the idea is to show and estimate how hydrogen technologies will be useful for different kind of ships, depending on their needs. We think in France that the hydrogen technologies will expand and will have more and more applications in the coming years. But we believe that we have to go into details to precisely understand and differentiate the needs of ferries or large transportation and so on. And here again, I'm sure you have also studies in Norway, and we have probably the possibility to compare our hypothesis and and highlight and share much more information. This is just the first tool that we managed to develop in 1 year, but the idea is to enrich it in the coming years.
Very interesting. May I just ask a quick follow-up question, Katia? So if there are Norwegian or French actors around the table who represent projects or information that would be useful to have on this, how do they actually connect with the platform?
For now, they're not, because we are still in a developing process of this platform. So there were asked many time to share their needs, to also to share their feedback on what we have currently implemented. And now we are entering in the last part of this first phase, and it will be deployed by September to our members, and more broadly also to part of our information will be public. So it's not something that we choose to restrict. On the contrary, the idea is to share and make sure that with digital technologies we can help and facilitate the eco-energy transition. So that's how we work together. And let me maybe share a last screen, if I have still a few time, about this one. It's another example. Here we have fake data. It's just to give you an idea of how we think this kind of digital interface can be useful. We want to follow up and monitor our emissions on the maritime sector by 2050, and identify precisely by the share that the fishing industry, the shipping industry and ports and so on will have that sort of contribution to this final objective. So that's a way we can use also the digital and data technology to bring people and make them work together on this kind of scenarios. So that's there are much more, but I think I won't have time to show you everything today. So what I wanted to tell you is what we're doing, and also our ambition. It's to we aim to develop a sort of cross-industry platform at an international level. And I should say platforms because we think there are many initiatives already existing data sources that we can and we need to bring together at a European level. As not only for the maritime sector, Norway is considered as a decarbonization hub, I think, in Europe. So how can we modelize our energy transition pathway and at the end our energy model that should evolve in very strongly in the coming years? That's what we think we can do together. Of course, not alone. We need to bring on the table many stakeholders to do it and make sure we have positive impacts at the end in our countries.
Thank you so much, Katia. That was a very interesting and very to the point introduction to a powerful coalition, first of all. And I also noted the very strong point about needing to look at across sectors and segments if we are to solve these challenges. And you illustrated brilliantly how a data sharing and analysis platform can help accelerate that process. And I appreciated also the call for international and I suppose French-Norwegian collaboration in this endeavor at the end. And I trust our listeners this morning took note of that invitation. Very, very useful. I know that you will have to move on, so thank you for your participation. And as you offered, if there are questions, please put them in the chat, listeners, if you have them. But we will also follow up with Katia and her colleagues if they can't be answered in this brief session this morning. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Let me also then now turn to Naval Group. You're also part of this coalition, and Naval is a leader in Europe and globally in naval defense and marine energy. And I believe you're present in some 18 countries, employ 13,000 people, a large company in a group. And I said you're also involved in this coalition led by the Cluster Maritime. I'd be curious to hear a little bit from a major player like Naval. How do you work as a group to reduce your carbon footprint of ships, and perhaps give us some concrete examples of projects that you carry out to this end? We've gone from sort of the broad ambition. Give us some concrete examples of what this looks like in practice from your perspective.
Thank you very much, Elna. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak about Naval's group vision of how to green the maritime transport and maritime sector in the coming years, and the challenge we face to do so. So first of all, Naval Group has a strong objective to achieve its environmental commitments, and we anticipate to strongly reduce GHG emission and to reduce our vessels' ecological footprint in the coming years. And to do so, in our roadmap, we identify four main levels of action to do so. So the first one is to go further in the electrification of the ships. The second one is to work on economy of means by improving the energy efficiency of onboard systems, and by improving the platform management systems, technological platform management systems. The third level is how to reduce the consumption of fossil fuels by using alternative fuels such as biofuels, synthetic fuels, hydrogen, of course. And the last main lever we identify is to update the existing ecosystems requirements and standards throughout the whole value chain, from the design of the ships to the dismantling of the ships. So working on this topic will allow us to reduce and optimize the ship energetical consumption, and to have a wide range of solutions adapted to the specific needs of our ships, which have various use. So as you know, of course, nowadays most of the ships use diesel or fuel engines for propulsion and auxiliary purpose, of course. And one way to reach the objective of reducing the ecological footprint of the ship should be to develop hybrid solutions for the propulsion and auxiliary purpose. And we now know that the innovation and technological developments make possible in a foreseeable future the use of a mix of fuel cell and batteries technology to replace the propulsion and auxiliary engine. So that's what we plan to work on in the coming years with EDF and other major French companies who are part of the coalition. And one example of a project we plan to carry out in the coming years is by studying realistic use case, and by combining simulation tools and the use of a test bench, we aim at developing a robust method and tools to de-risk the implementation of board ships of hybrid solution and fuel cell solutions, well fitted to the use of the different use case we will select and we will study within this project. So of course now the main challenge for us is to identify realistic use case with a wide range of possible application and profiles, from coastal vessels to offshore vessels. And that's what we currently do with the support of the Cluster Maritime France. And we expect to finalize our technical proposal by this summer to then find fundings to carry on this project in the coming years.
Excellent.
So thank you very much. And maybe now EDF who work with us to prepare this project could tell us what are their position and their vision of this topic.
Excellent. Yes, thank you, Jean. Very, very interesting reflections from really a major player in this sector. Let's turn to EDF as you proposed. Thierry Meunier, project manager. EDF is a world leader in the production of low carbon electricity. I suppose most of the listeners this morning will know you. And for the common French man and woman, EDF is the energy company, I believe it is fair to say. Now you're also involved in this coalition for the maritime, environmental and energy transition, as we have talked about. And it may seem surprising at first glance. Can you explain a little bit the background for your engagement in the field of maritime transport and your links with Naval, as Jean was alluding at? You're muted, Thierry, so I can see if I can unmute you.
Okay, sorry, it's better.
Perfect.
Like
Much
this,
better.
I think. Okay, thank you, Ellie, for your organization of this meeting, and good morning, everybody, or attendees, if I can say that. Yes, as you said, I'm Thierry Meunier. I'm part of EDF Group, and I'm working in Paris in our commercial branch in the division which is called Areas and Regional Action. Our job is to develop low carbon projects, of course, and new activities such as renewable energy in connection with local authorities, mainly. As you know, maybe French law from 2015 to relevant to energetic transition needs to be carbon neutral in to many sectors in 2050. So that's why we are involved in this kind of transformation. As far as I'm concerned, I'm more particular in charge of maritime and river ports sectors, and I also ensured relationship with the French maritime cluster. To be short, EDF at the moment, it's roughly 60 billion euro of turnover. It's also 165,000 people worldwide. Our investments each year are roughly around 15 billion euros. And we are also producing 560 terawatt hours, mainly carbon free. We are more than 90% carbon free. And I think with Norway, we are one of the lowest worldwide low energy efficient carbon. Coming back to your question, I would like to explain that the purpose, which we call in our terms in French raison d'être, is to build a zero energy future with electricity and innovative solutions and services to help the planet and drive well-being and economic development. To reach this target, we have three strategic axes for the decarbonization of our companies in France, Europe, and worldwide, of course, and also 4 new plans I will describe in a short way. The first of these axes is to be a creator of services and a solution to support customers and territories in the shift towards carbon neutrality, for instance, in ports area, of course, and all around, if I can say that. The second is to be a global leader in a generation of CO2 neutral electricity. No more coal plant, for instance, in 2022 in France, and no gas plant in 2035. It is a huge stake. And then the third aim, if I can say that, is to remain an international, of course, player in the energy transition. We are already present in more than 10 countries in Europe and around 20, etc. To continue, this section are supported by a new drive for transformation, innovation, as I said, human ambition, of course, and new corporate social responsibility commitments. And to do that, we implement 4 new plans. For instance, one of these plants is solar plants with more than 20 gigawatt power supply from solar farm, for instance, in 2035. The second plan is a storage plan by means of pumping station, for instance, battery, hydrogen tomorrow, for 10 gigawatts of new capacity in 2035. And the third plan is electricity mobility. We are also largely involved in electrical mobility, mainly in the area around UK, Benelux, and Italy, also France. And we are here in France at the moment, and we are wondering to share more than 30 share of the market on European area. And the fourth plant, but not least, is the Excel plant, which is relevant to nuclear excellence, because when we spoke in France of the energetic transition, we've seen that it's not possible at the moment to stop all nuclear power plants, even if we have a plan to close 14 plants in 2035. But we, as you know, maybe we think our future will be half part of nuclear and half part, 50% of renewable energy, such as hydraulic, wind, and also solar. This action also possible because we have a large R&D division from upstream to downstream of our activities, and many subsidiaries in energy services, of course. I can't give some details now because we have no time. For us, and to answer your question, of course, maritime transport and ports is one of the sector and territories which are already present for a long time with our power plants, for instance. And this area we wish to strengthen our presence to meet their challenge. About Naval now, I would like to say that we have been partner with them for several years on various subjects, and such as energy production system, for instance, fluid mechanism, electromagnetism, etc., with our R&D teams mainly. And it's therefore quite natural that we decided to support a Naval group on this electrical low carbon project, and the subject of battery storage mainly, and fuel cells also, and to share environmental and economical aspect also, which are the main stakes of this project.
Very
it's been clear.
Very interesting.
Sorry for my English.
Well, sorry for my French. I believe we that secondary here we have a interesting subject knowledge to share, and this was a very interesting summary of how a major energy giant is also looking towards the maritime sector. I know that you had a backup slide deck to present this project, so we will, if you permit, perhaps we can share that with them, with the participants in the aftermath, and if they want more information. I know there's also a good presentation, well, on the coalition, at least on the web, and perhaps we can connect you. Very interesting examples of both ranging from the role of a public institution and authority to major sectoral leaders. Of course, many things needs to move to reach these very ambitious goals that have been set both in France and in Norway. Can I invite you all to reflect a little bit on what lessons can be learned across countries here? What potential exists for French-Norwegian collaboration in this sector in the coming years?
There are many collaborations. At the moment, as you know, because of regulation, we have lots of projects relevant to cold ironing, what is called cold ironing, or also it's called, I think, onshore power supply. It is to say we are supplying vessels when they are on berth by electricity. It prevents them to stop their engines and to emit pollution, if I can say that. And we have on this subject very huge investments to do all around France, many ports, big ports and lower commercial ports mainly at the moment. We spoke previously with a team of ferries, for instance. We have ferries routes with around Marseille port, with the Corse Island at the moment. They are also in Dunkirk, in north of France. There are also projects in Le Havre at the moment for a cruise this time. That is to say, each project needs a huge amount of power. It's threatened for the network, electrical network, sorry. This is a big project. We are also working around the industrial area, because when you have ports, you have industrial area with strong needs of energy also. And we are working on decarbonization, of this industry with many tools. The tools we are, or the world is working at the moment is hydrogen, of course. But before hydrogen, we have also to sell electricity in many processes, because, as I said, we have the chance to have a very low carbon electricity. That is why it's important to study in which case it's when it's efficiency, of course. It's necessary to provide electricity in processes. Of course, hydrogen also for chemical, for instance, or metallurgy. And this is also a big stage. And we are also working around what we call circular economy. That is to say, for instance, when we have a consumer which needs heat and another which needs cold, maybe there are exchange would be done. Will be also done. Exchange could be done also with the local community, and there is a town near. We are working around this project. This is why ports are important, because if I can say that, ports are the future, maybe a power plant or station for energy around our country.
So a number of opportunities, and also opportunities that span into other sectors. Very interesting reflection. This is an opportune moment to remind our listeners of the upcoming events in this series. We have one on smart ports coming up in May. There is one on electric vehicles and smart charging, and then one on offshore wind, potentially also other ones upcoming. But maybe to either Joachim or Jean, a few reflections on potential for collaboration, and perhaps also with reference to the EU projects, if you know any of that. Thierry talked about the importance of having big muscles behind some of these events. EU is also investing heavily. Joachim, to start.
Yeah, no, I think there is a lot of possibilities for collaboration, and I think the tool that was presented by the cluster Maritime, that to have a platform where it's possible to share all the projects going on is a very good start, because there is, as I showed with the hydrogen, for instance, there are so many different initiatives going on, and I have the possibility to learn of the different initiatives, and that's very important. And secondly, I would like to also point out that there is the need for the development of the different value chains. And for instance, when it comes to hydrogen, it's important to create a large enough volume. So if we can work together as across borders to increase the demand for the new technology, that can contribute to that. Yeah, as I mentioned, it can contribute to further technological development, and it can also contribute to lower prices, thereby increasing the volume. And also, I think it was very interesting to listen to EDF and also to Naval Group. But also, I would like to. We have worked a lot with towards the Norwegian electrical sector, because there is, when we are introducing a new energy carrier, we have to change our mindset of how we work with because you have to, when you use fossil fuel on a ferry, you charge not very often, but we're going to use electricity on a ferry. You have to charge the ferry, and you have to develop a system behind that. And we have worked a lot with the framework conditions for and to clarify their responsibilities and where are the so I think there also are possibilities for collaboration, how to work with these issues when it comes to the introduction of new technology, and we can learn from each other. Although some of the context is different, I think there are many things that are possible to transfer to other markets.
Yeah, very, very important point. Jean, one brief reflection from your side before we attempt to sum up and close. Time's running when you have fun.
Yeah, of course. As I said, we plan to study within our project different use case, and of course, if we could have a use case with a Norwegian partner, it would be very, very interesting for us. So of course, it could be a good way to go further in this subject, and to study how to put these new technologies of fuel cells and batteries on board vessels. And so of course, today partners are mostly French partners, but of course, if it's possible to have a collaboration with a Norwegian partner, it would be very nice for us.
Excellent. That's an invitation that I'm sure some of us will take you up on. As I said, we coming to a close. We have 2 minutes before hopefully participants will move into their rooms. I will just remind people that it's still possible to book one-to-one meetings if you haven't, and if there are some open slots. But let me make a feeble attempt to sum up some of the important points that have been made over the past hour. Obviously, this is a vast topic, and several of you, EDF in particular, also underlined the importance of seeing it even beyond the maritime sector. These have connections and links to other subsectors: the development of port, the development of grid systems, the production of energy sources. Getting up the good use cases and also illustrations of sort of full value chains is important. We hope that we gave you a taste of some of the trends in Norway and France with this morning's session, and we got a couple of good examples of projects that are also running. I would just like to also remind everyone of the report on greening maritime and fluvial transport that Innovation Norway produced as a sort of preparation for this event. It is written for a Norwegian audience, but there you will find a really rich inventory of examples of projects and activities specifically in the French market. It's a report on the French market, but there's also a summary of the status in Norway and opportunities for collaboration. So that might be useful reading, and the link is in the chat. And then on this data platform, there are opportunities to populate with more projects and more data, and that might be something we follow up. And of course, within the context of EU and Horizon Europe projects, including the IPCEI call, so the hydrogen projects, important projects of common European interest concerning hydrogen. We know also that there are a number of actors and projects that look at the greening maritime sector. So several opportunities to continue exchanging and collaborating within this spectrum and within this sector. Okay, I will leave it at that. We're 1 minute to 10, but let me thank again all our participants in the panel for their contributions this morning, especially perhaps to Katia for a sporty participation at very last minute notice. Thanks again to Cluster Maritime France for their partnership and their support to this event, and our partners in Team Norway, the Chamber of Commerce, the French-Norwegian Chamber of Commerce, and the Embassy, not least. let me wish you also an excellent continued day. Please make use, as I said, of the one-to-one meetings in the other room in this digital space, and be in touch if you have any more questions. We've received a couple of questions in the chat that we couldn't answer, but we will distribute them to the panelists and hopefully be able to answer some of them that way. Thanks again, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.